Hey, what's up, guys? Dr. LaHue here. It's been such a great day today. I'm excited about some of the things that are happening. One is I've got a good friend that is an 8 on the Enneagram, and she just realized she's an 8. She has thought for a long time that she was a 1, and well, I shouldn't say for a long time, for a couple of weeks. And we all knew she was an 8, and I just posted the video on Am I an 8, and she watched it, and she's now got it figured out. So now the healing can begin, right? Now the healing can begin. Once you understand where you stand, you start to really, see what the Enneagram can teach us. And I wanted to read to you a letter that someone sent me who's a type 4, and I won't mention her name, but she said she gave me permission to read the letter to you. It's just some thoughts that she sent me after watching the video, Am I a 4? And a lot of you guys have watched that video, and that's awesome. And one of the things I said on there was, I said, I'm a 7 trying to understand, what it's like in each of these other types, and each of the other, I don't understand myself, I'm still trying to understand what it means to be a 7. And there's a lot of pros and cons and goods and bads and things we wish we could change and things that, are just going to be with us till the day we die. And so as I'm trying to understand each of these types and how to better relate to them, this young lady, sweet person, man, she started writing down all kinds of notes as she was watching that video, and she sent them to me. And I thought it might help some of you guys, especially you guys that are 4s or live with 4s. This might be some helpful information. It was to me. It was really insightful, some of the things she said. So I wanted to get it down on record. And like I said, I asked her if it was okay if I share it. She said it was fine if it helped somebody else. And so I'm just going to read you, what she sent me. And we'll talk about it. Of course, I'm going to talk about it, right? But she says, thanks for the video. It helped me to gain a deeper perspective of myself and thus move forward to service and connection with others. And that's when 4s go to 1, right? When 4s go to 1, they start thinking, okay, what do I got to do? I got to get out all these stormy feelings and out of all this, deep, meaningful thought to just getting stuff done that needs to get done in life. And so she said this, the videos helped her get back to connection and serving with others. And she says here, this is I think it's really interesting. She said, I don't set out to assume an identity, because 4s struggle with that issue of who am I, what makes me different, what makes me, they know they're different, but they don't know maybe why they're different. So they're looking for, 4s are looking for some kind of explanation and some kind of better understanding of what makes them unique, what makes them different. She says, I don't set out to assume an identity that purposely makes me different, to set myself apart so that others can see I'm different. It just happens because I don't care about being like other people. A lot of people on the Enneagram, a lot of types, they want to fit in, 9s, I think, want to fit in. 6s definitely want to fit in. And 3s want to fit in and then excel, and be the best version of every type. 1s want to fit in. They want to follow the rules and codes and social norms. Social norms is what we're talking about. Everybody has some kind of perspective on social norms. And I think what she's saying is, I want to be myself. And I don't care to fit in. It's not a value. It's not her value as a 4 to be like everybody else. She says, I like what I do, and I do what I do. I like what I like, and I do what I do. There, I like what I like, and I do what I do. So doesn't need, to be something everybody else understands. Just, I like what I like, and I do what I do. I don't care about other people's opinions. And a lot of types do care about people's opinions. Some people even have their radar up, to know, what do you want? Well, that's what I'll become. And she's just saying, I like the things I like. So, if you're a 4 and you like jazz music, maybe you hate jazz music. It's not going to matter to you if other people like it or not. You're going to like what you like, regardless of whether it's popular or whether people think you're crazy or weird because of it. She's saying, I just like what I like. I do what I do, and I like what I do. And I don't need other people to appreciate or be supportive of it. She says, I wear vintage clothes not because I want to be different, but because I like the feel of the natural fibers, the style, less of a footprint on the earth. I guess it's more resourceful, less of a footprint if you buy used clothes, or buy clothes from a thrift store or something. As a 7, I like going to a thrift store because it's an adventure. You see, you're always, what I'm going to find stuff in a thrift store that I'll never find of course the clothes at Kohl's are nice, but man, if I could buy 3 shirts for the price of 1, and you never know it's always an adventure. But I don't think a 4 is going to, a thrift store because it's an adventure. But she's saying because it's more resourceful, it's less, destructive on the environment. I like what I like. And so I like the old clothes, and I like the old styles, and it looks good to me, so that's what I like. And now listen to this. This is very 4. She says, khaki is so mundane. Khaki is so mundane. I think about like 1s and 9s, just give me a pair of khaki pants and I'm happy. Give me the uniform and I'm happy. Now see, I'm a counter 7, right? So I'm the 7 that, what is it? I think it's the self-preservation. I have to do a video on each of the three types of every type, right? I think it's either the social or I think it's the social. I'm the social 7, which looks more like a 1 than the other 7s. I temper myself. So I wear the same clothes every day because this is the way my mind works as a 7. I think, I want to wear it all. I want to do everything. I want to try it all. I know I can't, so I'll just wear the stupid black shirt every day and then I don't have to think about it. I'll park in the same parking spot. I'll get the same food on the menu every time, and I'll just wear the same clothes. I'll wear a black shirt and I'll wear jeans every day, and then I never have to think about all of the options because the options are endless to a 7. And once I start down that option road, where am I going to stop? So here she says, khaki is so mundane. I love it. I love the way 4's minds work, I suppose it's more about living a life with purpose and meaning, and yes, perceived as an elitist, that I don't care what you think about it, air. And 4s, they are kind of elitist. The 4-3 is called the aristocrat, and the 4-5 is called the Bohemian. And I think the Bohemian, the whole idea of a Bohemian is they like what they like. They like what's different. They like what's not the norm, And the aristocrat, definitely, that term means you look down your nose on everybody else. And I don't think 4s, set out to look down their nose on everybody else. It's not that they're not nice or you're not friendly or something. It's just you might communicate that to other types, that you act like you're better than they are, because most of the people are just trying to fit in and want to get along with everybody, and therefore I'm going to like the things you like so that we have something in common, we have something to connect over. And this is where 4s are not afraid to stand out and say, I'm not going to like what you like just because it's what you like or because it's what everybody likes. I got to be, here it is, wait for it, authentic to myself. There's that core value that's in 4s. I got to be authentic to myself. And so just because khakis are the norm, or blue jeans are the norm, or shopping at Kohl's, or when I was in Kentucky, shopping at Co's, because that's normal, that's going to make a 4 not want to do it all the more, because why do I want to just blend in? If I blend in, I think if 4s, if I blend in, then why am I here? And if you're a Christian, right, God made you. And if you are just a big part of a bunch of other people, then is that what God created you to be, just to be a clone of everybody around you? I can see the way 4s think. I think that's the way they think. If you're not you, then you're just copy paste of everybody else, then you're not necessary. And I think that's where it gets to that shame aspect, you know, that worth and value, that shame aspect is if you're not different, if you're not special, if you're not, and that's, I think, how maybe a 7 might say it, that they're saying special. I think a 4 is thinking, I'm not trying to be different. And I think what she's saying is, I'm not trying to be different. I'm just trying to be authentic. I'm trying to be real to myself. I'm trying to be okay being different and not fitting in. And I think it gets back to that worth issue, that if I'm just copy and paste of everybody else, then how am I living out who I'm supposed to be? If I'm just a carbon copy of everybody and I just like what everybody likes because everybody likes it, that's not being authentic to who I am as a person and what I was created to be. And if that makes me look like I think I'm special to everybody, then whatever. I think that's kind of what she's getting at. Okay, so she says, I don't judge others. We're all on a journey and they're on theirs, I'm on mine, but mine is different and doesn't fit in. So she feels like her journey is different. And it's true. I mean, everybody's journey is a little bit different. It's amazing how similar we all are, though, you know, as different as we like. It's kind of like that old saying, you know, you are unique, just like everybody else. You are unique and special, just like we're all on a different journey, you know, but we all kind of are moving in the same, we all trying to be happy in life. We're all trying to take care of other people. We're all trying to do a good job. I mean, but I get it. We're all unique and we're all on a different journey. I think 4s and 7s in a lot of ways are similar in that, you know, 4s feel like they don't fit in. They feel like they're missing something. 7s always feel like they're missing out on something. That little nuance is the difference between 4s and 7s. 4s feel like there's something that's missing in life and they're just kind of searching for it, you know, and 7s feel like they could be doing something better with their time right now. And so they're searching for how to amp up the experience. All right. Sorry, I know I'm talking a lot about 7 stuff here. I'm reading a letter about 4ness and I'm talking a lot about 7, but we're all stuck. We're stuck in our own type, and it's hard for us. We can't none of us get a bird's eye perspective. I mean, the people that write the books, right? They can't either. They can't get a bird's eye perspective. I mean, a pure, unencumbered, unbiased perspective, because all of us see things from a point of view. The 9s understand this, right? All of us see something from a point of view. And I can't help but look at every type through the lens of the eyes of a 7, okay? So she says, I don't fit in. Her journey is she doesn't fit in. Maybe 4s notice differences more because they're searching beyond the ordinary. I think that's probably true. I think a lot of us like the ordinary. I don't think I like the ordinary as much as I kind of find comfort in it. I like unordinary. I'm a 7. I like things to be different. I like variety. But ordinary, at the end of the day, most of us are doing pretty ordinary stuff. I mean, what are we talking about? You know, oh, I don't like this music because that's what everybody listens to. I'm a 4. I like this band you've never heard of. It's still music. Everybody's listening to music. You know, or I don't watch the TV shows that are popular. I watch this thing over here on this channel from, you know, from outer space or something. You're still watching TV. If you're watching TV and listening to music, then you're doing what's normal. So that, burst your bubble. There you go. We're all doing what's normal. I always think, you know, if you really want to stand out, you really want to be different, then go buy a blue tuxedo with the ruffles and learn how to play the accordion. Then you'll be different, right? Then you'll really be different. There's probably some 5s out there that are playing an accordion right now and they think it's great. But I mean, really, if you want to be different, I mean, if you want to be different, be thin and healthy, okay? Be thin and healthy and don't cheat on your wife. Then you'll be different, because in our society, that make it different right there. Just take care of yourself and take care of people, love people, and try to be kind, and you'll be different. You'll be different, all the different you can handle if you're just kind to people. Okay. All right, so maybe fours notice differences more because they're searching beyond the ordinary, not necessarily to intentionally set themselves apart. Okay, I think that's probably true. There's probably, especially the older you get as a four, you know, you may have gotten long over that need to like set yourself apart. You're just not content with what everybody else likes because everybody else likes it. Because you got to be authentic to yourself. You got to listen to your own voice, and that can be hard to. You know, I wish nines could learn from the fours to listen to their own voice. My daughter's a 9, right? And one of her best friends is a 4. And when Kaylee, my daughter, was explaining what it means to be a 9, how you forget yourself and how you don't listen to your own desires and dreams and you just go along with everybody else. That's, you know, the tendency. I remember her friend said, she says, "I'm sorry, Kaylee, but that sounds like the worst thing I could ever imagine." And it's the whole 9 personality, you know? So I think fours could learn from 9s that sometimes you just got to go along with people, and you got to just silence all that turmoil and longing and romanticism and all that in your head, and you just have to go to work, and you have to just get along with people, and you have to try to fit in and blend in because you have to get a paycheck, okay? And then I think 9s could learn a lot from 4s to wake up and listen to themselves and listen to that still small voice, you know, inside them that's guiding, that's there to guide us if we'll listen. But 9s kind of, you know, go to sleep to what they want in life. All right. Aesthetics. I talked about aesthetics in the video. I don't remember if this was in relation to, I have 2 videos on the 4 besides this one. At the time I filmed this, there's one called Help for a 4, which is longer, and then Am I a Type 4? I imagine she's probably responding to the help for, that was the longer video. And I talked about aesthetics, you know, like how we decorate our houses and our desks and our dorm rooms and all that. And I talked about how 2s will probably have a lot of important my wife's a 2, right? So important decorations around the house that remind them of how loved they are and how important all their family members are. And, you know, my kid made this picture for me in kindergarten, so that's got to be framed and put on the wall, and my kid is special and all that, right? And then 3s will probably have, you know, impressive, you know, decorations and those kinds of things. And then 4s, I said, they'll surround themselves with aesthetically pleasing things that could sometimes not always just be beautiful, but could also be meaningful. Meaningful is the key, I think, that they'll surround themselves with things that, you know, this trinket over here on the wall, it reminds me of a happier time in my life when I felt at peace, and every time I look at it, it initiates those feelings, right? And this over here reminds me of one time when I was really sad when somebody, and I look at that and it brings back all that sadness. So kind of like, you know, everybody can change their emotional state by listening to certain kinds of music. You know, you listen to upbeat music, you tend to feel more upbeat. You listen to down and solemn music and you tend to feel more reflective and quiet. And I think 4s are always trying to get in touch with, you know, their identity and their authentic self, and so they want to get in touch with their emotions, and they want to sometimes maybe manipulate their emotions a little bit, and aesthetics can be one way to sort of get in control of, or to help maintain control of, or to moderate, maybe that's a better way to say it, moderate their emotions. So aesthetics absolutely trigger emotions and meaning for me. I like them to trigger emotions in order to evoke a search to go deeper into understanding myself and humanity, for a more clear resonation of my feeling, my soul, my identity. Okay, when you hear, you know, that kind of, those kind of thoughts, those are some pretty heavy, weighty thoughts. And I think that's part of the territory of 4s, is they're not afraid of weighty, heavy things. They're not afraid of talking about meaning and tragedy and importance and value. And, worth and all these things that I think a lot of the types, we don't want to give a lot of thought, to these deeper, darker things. I mean, she just, in just a few statements there, talks about, even like the things around the room are there to invoke, these deeper thoughts. My biggest problem isn't as much a search for identity, but my flawed lack of being able to connect and build relationships with others because I am different. And again, I appreciate that, because that's got to be frustrating when you don't feel like you can connect with people well. So from an outsider's perspective, we would say, look, you don't want to connect. See? We might feel like you're trying to avoid, you're trying to disconnect, you're trying to separate yourself. But here, from a 4, this is a person saying, who's thought a lot about this. I can tell from what she's written here. She's thought a lot about this. It's not that she's searching for an identity, but feeling like she's unable to connect and build relationships with people because I am different. And I guess I hear that, and I have to think about it and really try to learn to appreciate what she's saying. And then I have a problem with that last statement, because I am different. And I think as an outsider, not being a 4, I just don't understand. And it's hard for me to be sympathetic to it because I just don't understand it. Because I guess I'd look at it and say, but you're not different. That's kind of the monkey wrench, isn't it? That you believe that you are different. But how are you different? I mean, we all have the same DNA. Yeah, you're different in that you're a number 4 and I'm a number 7 and he's a number 5 and she's a number 6, but we all have a monkey wrench, so we're all different. Should I, as a 7, go around thinking that I can't make relationships or feel connected to people because I'm different, because I'm a 7? I'm not an 8 or I'm not a 9. And so from an outsider's perspective, just thinking in terms of the Enneagram, right? I have to look at that and say, I don't understand it. And that's probably only going to further in the mind of the 4 that they're different when I say I don't understand it. And then when I try to solve it for them, it's probably just going to make them frustrated and make them say, see, you don't get it because I'm different. Do you feel like as a 4 that you're different than other 4s? I mean, I get it, you're a different person, but if you put 3 4s together, or that sounds kind of funny, put several 4s together, I think they're all going to focus on how they're different from one another. Where I think if you put 3 9s together, they're probably going to laugh and say, oh yeah, you do that too? Ha ha ha, I do that too. Oh, you do that too? Ha 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 ha, I do that too. I think if you put a bunch of 4s together and ask them all these things, they're probably going to further differentiate themselves within that group because of that fundamental belief that I'm different. This is what she says. She says, I find it's hard because I'm not able to connect and build relationships with others because I'm different. Not because I sometimes let myself believe I'm different or sometimes give in to the idea that I'm different, but she says because I am different. And when you think that you are different, then it's going to lead to a lot of other thoughts and feelings and emotions and difficulties and challenges that you're going to face. And I'm not saying you're not, okay? I'm just saying from an outsider's perspective, it's hard for me to understand it, okay? Let's just leave it at that. Not many are okay with being different, but I don't know how to not be different. If I tried to not be different, then I wouldn't be being authentic. I tried other identities. So I said in my video how 4 sometimes, especially when they're growing up, they'll try on identities, okay? I tried other identities for the purpose of feeling connected, but I hated being fake. So maybe, 4s try to not only stand out, but maybe there are times when they just try to fit in. But then they kind of feel like I'm not being true to myself. by wearing these clothes or by liking these things or by whatever, by these associations. They don't want to, obviously they don't want to give up their identity in order to blend in. And I said in one of the videos that 4s want to fit in, but they don't want to blend in. Okay? The other people who look like they know their identity, now that's what I said in the video, is that I think 4s can sometimes look at everybody and be like, well, Tom seems to know who he is. You know, he's got a shaved head and an ugly beard, and he's married to Traci and has 5 kids, and he works at a church, and he's 6'2", and he seems like he knows who he is, and he seems pretty secure in his identity, in his job and in his role. But who am I? You know, and 4s kind of struggle with that. But what is it that makes me me? You know, my job? I got to be more than my job. My career, my family relationships. What is it that makes me my authentic self? And I said in there about that in one of those videos. And she says, other people know who they are in their identity. I'll watch what she says. Probably they just bought in to whatever they were told. Or they slipped into the easiest things and they probably don't even realize it. And I think that can be really true of 9s. We've talked about that. Watch the 9 videos. That's very much a reality, a possibility for 9s. But, you know, from a 4's perspective, she's saying probably all you guys are like that. You just kind of, you know, come out of the factory wearing what everybody from the factory wears and don't give any thought to who you are. Or I imagine probably 4s feel like they woke up in the Matrix, you know. That's kind of what it sounds like. It kind of sounds like 4s woke up and the rest of us are all asleep in the Matrix. You know, we're all sleeping in the Matrix, just believing what we were told to believe, wearing what we are programmed to wear, liking everything that we are genetically modified to like. And 4s wake up and they're awake and they're trying to figure out who they are and what the meaning of life is and what is reality, and the rest of us are all still asleep in the Matrix. That'd be interesting. You 4s tell me if that Matrix thing resonates with you or not. I kind of think if you understand the Enneagram at all, you kind of woke up out of the Matrix. Okay, that's my perspective, is if you understand. Okay. The next part says, rules are good for people who can't figure out the purpose or meaning of things. I said in the other video, that 4s tend to be like 8s in that they kind of look at the rules and the laws as like they don't really apply to them or they are above the law. She said that rules are good for people if they can't sort out the importance of things themselves. Okay, so if you understand the purpose behind the rule, you can sometimes bypass the rule. Certain stop signs could be roll-throughs if you understand the purpose of it and what to look for. She says some other things about, you know, how sometimes companies make rules just to avoid lawsuits, but they don't really intend for you to necessarily follow the rules, you know, specifically. And so there's that kind of like, since I'm a deep thinker, you know, I can sort of realize on my own whether rules should be followed or not. And again, I think 6s and 1s would argue with a 4 about that, about following the rules, and the need to follow the rules. I don't watch TV or do normal things, not because I must be different, but because I perceive it to have no meaning, or because I'm in search of something better than that. Okay? I can respect that. There's a lot of things more meaningful than doing those mundane things. I have shame because I'm not content, and that a lot of it is over meaningless things, or being involved in meaningless things. So there's a certain sense of shame of, why am I spending my time doing such meaningless stuff? Why am I upset over something that's so superficial when there's all these people out there in far worse circumstances? So maybe you feel a sense of shame that you're allowing yourself to be upset by the things that upset normal people, or I shouldn't say normal people, average people, or let's just say other people, okay? I have shame because I'm upset with myself for getting upset over not achieving high ideals. Wow, you know, that's probably pretty important what she just said there, because I think a 3 has high ideals too, but I don't know that they would define them the same way. Where a 3 might think high ideals are like high achievements that demonstrate worth, value, and competence, I think a 4 might define high ideals in a little bit nuanced, different way there. I'm discontent that I can't be content. I'm a 7. You're speaking my language. I understand what you're saying. It makes me feel worthless. I feel shame for being hard on myself. So there's a discontentment in, why can't I just get connected with people? Why can't I just be satisfied with the status quo? Why can't I just accept the mundane things of life and find meaning and purpose in just being average? And I think a 4 just, all that's just too much. She's wrestling with it. She's wrestling with it. All that stuff. I get it. When everyone laughs, I cry. I'm sort of envious of their ability to easily laugh about something, but it's only because they're too superficial to sense the darker realities, to carry all that feels. And again, you're not speaking my language when it comes to darker realities. You guys know anything about 7s, you know that we like to avoid anything that's painful or upsetting or tragic, and we want to reframe it all into positives. And I'm sure to a 4 that seems really superficial, really lightweight, not able to deal with the dark things. And here she says, I'm envious of people's ability to laugh, but it's probably just because they're superficial. And that's probably true to some degree. We don't want to sit and think about the scary things or the hard things. To be incapable of seeing it must be a gift. So what she's saying is, I can see these dark, terrible, tragic things in life. It must be nice to be able to just float along in life, just oblivious in the matrix, and not sense these deeper, meaningful things. You know what Solomon said, right? With much knowledge comes much pain. And I think 4s, they kind of have that deep knowledge, or search out that deep knowledge of the emotions. And with that, it's going to come a lot of pain. Must be nice if you could just, look what she says, to be incapable of seeing it, the darker realities. It must be a gift, because they're laughing and I'm not. If I assimilate and laugh with them, it's going to be fake. And I won't be fake. And there's something I think strikes to the heart there of 4s, is that they must be authentic to themselves. And if you're going to relate to a 4, you've got to be authentic too. What's the never ever behavior to do to a 4? Never tell them no. Never try to control them. Never tell them what to do, because the 4 doesn't want you to tell them what to do. They're listening for inside, for their authentic self to tell them what to do. I won't be fake. I'll just be off to the side alone in my deeper awareness. And that word alone is one that's got me nervous. Hurting that no one is capable of feeling it with me. Again, it's kind of like you woke up and everybody's in the matrix having a great party, having a great time, and you feel like you're off, on your own. And I wonder, do 4s, do you guys feel like other 4s are awake and outside the matrix, or are they a part of the matrix too? I wonder. I don't want to be separated, but I don't want to connect superficially. I don't want to be separated, but I don't want to connect superficially. Man, that's well said. The one thing that has helped me most is understanding my identity in Christ. If I'm His and He is mine, the brokenness right here and now is only temporary. If I live in Christ, and if I die in Christ. I'm free and accepted through Christ. Whatever comes, it's okay through Christ. My meaningful purpose to live a life of love helps me to show up and get things done. So I do the mundane in a non-mundane way. I like that. I really do, because I know as a 7, I've had to learn to do things fun. I want to do fun things as a 7. Every 7 understands this. I want to do what's fun. I choose what's fun over what's important. I want to do fun things. But if I can learn to do all things in a fun way. Now I know to a 4, fun is not an important value. I know to a lot of types, 1s, it's not an important value. But if 7s are those teachers that get up and say, hey, did you know that history can be fun? And they work to try to make it fun. But what they don't realize is, for many in the class, fun is not an important value. It is to 7s. And I think I've had to learn to do things in a fun way, and anything could be fun. And here she's saying, do mundane things. She's not saying boring, okay? That's what a 7 would say, boring things. Here she's saying mundane, which means it doesn't matter. It's stuff that doesn't have any depth or value or purpose. It's not meaningful. And she's saying, if I can learn to do those meaningless things in a meaningful way, or for a meaningful reason, or find my meaning in it. And she said, really that's through Christ that she's found that, which is awesome. I think about that song by Lauren Daigle, You Say. This is just my thought. I think about that song. I think, Lauren Daigle is a 4. Come on, get over it. Let's face it. Look, just pull up her website and look at her. She's got scarves hanging off of her arms. She's got flowers in her hair. She's different. She's extremely gifted, but she's different. I've seen her in concert. She's a 4, okay? She literally wears rags. She's got the #1 song, like, of all time, the Christian, and she's wearing rags, right? Okay, and in that song, listen to the lyrics she says. The only thing that matters now is everything you think of me. In you I find my worth. In you I find my identity. That's exactly what my friend here is saying in her email. In you I find my identity. What are 4s looking for? Their identity. Okay? She says, I just join in on the meaningless thing for the sake of someone else because it means something to that person. So, see, the meaning then is associated with joining in because it's meaningful to somebody else. That's really beautiful. It's not all about me. I'm loved by Jesus, and that's absolutely all I need. Everyone else is guaranteed to fail me. Okay. She says there's a quote from Voltaire that's been helpful to me. Better is the enemy of good. Better is the enemy of good. Which I thought maybe it was good is the enemy of best or something like that, but I may be wrong. But I know what she's saying is that the pursuit for my high ideals limits me to see good. Sometimes it's better to give up and to be content with good. Okay, I get what she's saying. I think there's a quote like in business world that good is the enemy of best, right? Because you settle, right? But I think what she's saying as a 4 is sometimes I've had to learn to settle. Like, they don't want to settle. 4s don't want to settle for the mundane and for the meaningless and the purposeless. And so what she's saying is sometimes because you're so unsettled, you can't enjoy life. You can't be of any service or of any good to anybody if you're always looking for what's best. Eventually, you have to just settle down and say, this is good enough. And when it's good enough and you can be present to it, you're present to life. And being present to life is what makes the difference in life. So she one time talks about having a very low time in her life when she was in the bed for 2 days crying. She says, my husband was trying to be loving and supportive, but notice she says, I didn't want that love. I didn't want his love. I didn't want the love that he was trying to give. What I wanted was for him to understand my deep feeling, and he couldn't connect with that. And I think that there's that longing, that longing that 4s have that sometimes the rest of us just don't appreciate or don't understand or don't know what to do with. She says, finally I cried out to God, and she just said, God, I can't. I'm here. Come find me. Again, remember, 2s go rescue, right? And they feel like they're valuable because they go rescue people, where 4s often move away and see if anybody will come rescue them, and they find their value in whether or not they're rescued. And here she's saying, I said, God, you got to rescue me. I got out of bed and floated in routine, far away from my own thought and conversations, imagining myself sitting on a raft in an abyss of water, waiting until God found me and my deep feelings passed and another took its place. Well, I appreciate this letter. Thank you for sending this to me. I think it's really helpful. It's some things that maybe I wouldn't have come to on my own, and I probably wouldn't have read in any book. But it's awesome to see somebody pouring out their heart. And if it's helpful to you, then I hope it like it is helpful to me. I hope it is helpful to you guys. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Take care. If you want to send letters, you can follow the link down beneath in the description. And you never know, maybe I'll read it and we'll talk about it. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Take care.